So imagine you record a whole video about you quitting your job only to come back and find out there's no sound. So if the audio is not working with the video, it's because I had to do a voiceover. Luckily, I still had the video on CapCut even though I had deleted this video last week. But anyway, let's get into it. So yeah, I quit my job and I'm gonna try not to get emotional while I say that. Came back from traveling, I was like, you know what? I really want a job. I really want to be a nanny for a little bit. And God answered my prayers this year when I came back a couple months ago. And so it was really hard for me to let go of the job, but I knew if it's time for me to move, which I truly believe God is moving me to a new place, I needed to let go of the thing that was kind of keeping me down to staying here. It was, and I wasn't going to leave until September 16th, actually. I was like, oh, I'm not going to leave until I know for sure I have the finances. But I just stepped out on faith, and then I feel like God is leading me to leave the job because it was just things that happened. I'm not going to talk about it, discuss it, but it's just things that happened in my personal life that made me believe that, okay, yeah, it's time to leave because I would have never left if the finances weren't in order. And it has been an emotional experience because this is something that I prayed for, that it was only for a season. And a lot of us are in places just for a season, not for us to stay. And we got to move to our promised land. We have to move to where God needs us to be. And so that requires us to let go of the things that are keeping us there, and including, so like in my case, I didn't really trust that, oh, I would make an income to be able to move until I got to a point and I was like, you know what? I want to move back to this specific country. It's the place that I call home. And I stopped going back and forth from all these different places. And I was just like, what about this country? What about the country that you wanted to go to all along? But you were trying to force your will instead of letting God's will be done. So it became your worst experience, one of your worst experiences. I wrestled so much with different places where I thought God was calling me, and then nothing was working out. And I'm like, why is nothing working out? Like, I'm having all these dreams about these places, but God is not the author of confusion. And I really needed to fast, and I need to go on the fast because there's no explanation on why I kept having these dreams about these different places. And I don't believe that the dreams came from God because the places that I was trying to enter, it was like a denial. Like I got denied. So I really had to do some deep digging. And it wasn't that I wanted to live there. It was that I wanted to escape. I wanted a vacation. And I sat down with myself and I really thought, where do I feel safe? Where do I feel comfortable? Where do I want to be? And in that moment, everything made sense. I didn't have any confusion. I didn't feel like I was chasing this fantasy because I had already been there. And I didn't feel like I was going to change my mind, and I haven't changed my mind. But the most emotional part for me is of this story is that I need the financial income to not only get to Georgia, but to stay in Georgia. And God has blessed me tremendously with this platform. I went from about 200 followers on Instagram to over 1,800, almost 1,900 followers on Instagram. And that's something that God can only take credit for because I was struggling. I was struggling to build a community. And I really want to touch on something. A lot of people have been bad mouthing me in the comment section and talking about my hair and all this stuff. But imagine being in a place where you don't feel like you belong and all you're just trying to do is survive. You're just trying to get through this season. You're just trying to get through this lesson so you can get to your promised land. So I'm sorry if I don't look aesthetically pleasing to you, but I have been in my worst mental state this year. But it's okay because God is my vindicator. It says that God will fight for us. We only have to be still. So I have nothing to prove. And I feel like God has been revealing to me, like, yeah, you chose the right place. Like, this is going to work out. And the only thing that's holding me back is fear. Like, I need to be able to trust God, just like I had no idea that God was going to multiply my platform. Same thing with finances. That's, we have to have faith in the unknown. And I didn't know it during my worst time. God really moved in my life, and I didn't see it coming. This is not something that I knew was going to happen. I had zero faith coming back here, but I knew that I could have not given up. I knew I could not give up because that's all I did in my life. All I did was run away from God. And this is all I have. Aside from God, sharing my testimony is what I'm supposed to do. That's what I'm called to do. I'm called to speak. There's no plan B. There's no getting a degree. I know where my place is. It's just waiting for God to open up those right doors so I can be in the places where He wants me to be, and I can have the resources and the support in the community. This is not the season to give up. This is not the season to give up. And I know a lot of people want to give up in this season, but it's not the season to give up. Like I said, I was amazed. Even if I still had 200 followers at this moment, I still would have served God. And that's why I got blessed with the platform, because I still would have cried about it. Like, okay, Lord, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Should I be doing this? But God is really testing our faith if they're going to stand with Him, or are they still going to serve Him? And we cannot desire a following, a platform, a calling more than we desire God. And I've been feeling like, oh my gosh, I need a stupid mistake. But I've been seeing a lot of women. I've been talking to God. I'm like, I want to see women, Christian women, who have the desire to travel, and not only travel, but live with God and share the gospel with other people. Because I really do believe I have the gift of evangelism. And I was like, dang, like there's no Christian women who want to live with God or travel abroad. Like I never see those stories. And the next thing you know, I start seeing women who felt called to move to Dubai by God. And then I saw another woman who wanted to travel and share the gospel. And I was like, wow, like God is putting these people in front of my face so I can know this is possible. It's more centered around women. Like for me, I see myself being a speaker, a Christian speaker, an evangelist, and but also living abroad, living in Georgia. So I've been looking for the women of God who want the same thing, who desires the same thing. So if you are there, a Christian women of God, if you desire to travel and you desire to live abroad, please link up with me. I want to chat. Doing this alone and feeling like you're alone in this journey is super, super hard. So seeing some videos of women who do travel, who do live abroad, and they're Christian women, it just gives me so much hope. Like, okay, I'm not the only one. So I pray and hope that you guys will continue to follow me on this beautiful journey. I'm waiting on God to open up those doors, but I know that God will come through, because the Bible says that we have to walk by faith and not by sight. And if I would have walked by sight, I would have never kept making these videos. I would have never had the community that I have currently. And it's okay to start small. That's how you start, and God will multiply it. But you have to start. And I had posted a couple of weeks ago saying that if you don't move, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen if you don't move. And that doesn't have to be physical. It can be spiritual. It can be mental. If you don't step into your calling, if you don't try to spend time with God, you'll never progress. And it's a daily thing. It's not something that just happens overnight. And one of the things that I'm really working on is hearing from God, trying to hear God's voice, because I'm learning that God is always speaking to us. It's just that we're not listening, we're not hearing Him.